All right. Hey guys, welcome to BrokeFeed podcast number 4. Today we have Simon Reyes the third.
That's correct.
Correct? Ooh.
Don't you forget it.
I won't. I won't forget. After that, never. So today we're just kind of hanging out. We don't really have a set subject. We're just making very casual conversation. I don't know why I say it like that. Yeah, how you doing, Simon? How's your day been?
I'm doing all right. I like this casual conversation we're having.
Yeah.
When you mention in a very meta way that something is casual, it immediately becomes uncomfortable. Kind of like when you talk about breathing manually or blinking manually, it does the same thing. It just makes it really, really unnatural.
Yeah.
Oh,
true.
man.
You ever seen those like Instagram posts? They're like, "Hey, congratulations, you're now
breathing
breathing manually," and you're
Oh,
like,
God. I really hate those moments where you just kind of forget how to breathe, you know?
You know,
Yeah.
man, I really hate those ones that are like, do this like calculation, you know, like different like ones just to like practice like the PEMDAS thing. And it's just like, do you want us to feel stupid or do you want us to like actually do math? You know what I mean? It's
They just
like,
want what that's for. I can tell you what it's for. It's people comment the answer below, and then they want people to just comment more underneath it. That way, everyone's arguing about the stupid answer. I thought it was 12. No, it's 13.
you know, because last night I was helping my sister with her math homework, and I had a little situation that was kind of like this whole PEMDAS thing.
Oh.
It was order of operations, and it was one of those questions. I was like, oh, you know, this person got this answer, and then this person got this answer. You know, which one's right, which is easy.
Okay.
And then it was like, explain how this girl got this answer, like what she did wrong.
Yeah.
And I did the problem again with the, you know, because there's only like 3 numbers.
Okay.
And there's like 2, you know, pluses and minuses and all that. Can't remember exactly what the problem was, but the answer for it was way off of what this person got, like the wrong answer, and there's no other way to do the problem. So like if you explained,
maybe you're
you know,
wrong, man.
no, I wasn't. I did it a couple times. I was, look, man, it's middle school 6th grade math. I did it right.
AJ, I don't know, man.
Look, I did it, and then like you had to like, I don't know. Yeah, you really had to change the problem for it to even be right. So or right in her eyes, and you're spending all this time trying to find like how this girl got the wrong answer. So it's like why does it matter so much? It's like, you know, I'm just not gonna do this one.
It's true. There really is no point to that.
Yeah.
I could do you one better though. My senior year of high school, my psychology teacher had a daughter who was like 6th grade, I want to say 5th, maybe 6th grade.
All right.
Had a math problem, and this was all Common Core, so it's going to be fun.
No.
So what happened was, I really genuinely don't remember what the question was, but it was something about like, you know, remember in like little kids they had those like little colored like circles and they're called counters. Do you remember those at all?
No.
I don't really
never
remember those.
used
I don't know. I went to a weird school, I guess. I don't know. But they had
No,
like
I
these
mean,
little
I
like
do.
colored dots, and they were called counters, and they taught you how to count. You know, they put like 3 in a row and say, "Oh, how many is this?" And they would double it. And now you would
maybe.
be able to visualize like numbers or whatever. I don't know what it was for. But anyway, it was a similar problem where they had like 20 of them, and they were set up a certain way, and you're supposed to count like how many there are. And it was some weird like addition problem, or like what rows are this, or I don't know. But I tried to figure it out, and we all, whenever I did it, or a friend of mine who was like really good at physics, we tried to do it, and we both got the same answer. We got something like 5, let's say. We both got 5, and so we took it back to the teacher because she was asking us for help because her daughter couldn't get it. She also got 5. And when we did it, we also got 5. So we were really confused. We're like, well, 5 seems like the right answer. And so we were just sitting there trying to figure it out. And this psychology teacher I had was also an avid teacher. So there were avid tutors there. And all these avid tutors were pretty smart guys. They were engineering majors and physicists. And we're all looking at it, and we're all getting 5. And so we can't figure this thing out. We're sitting there trying to figure out, it has to be 5. Like, it can't be whatever. Right, because the supposed answer that the teacher had in the book was 7, and we couldn't.
Book's not always right, you know.
And so we kept on looking at this thing. I was like, oh, what how is it not 5? We keep on trying to figure it out. We can't do it. And so we said, okay, fine. We're going to take it to a math teacher. So we took it to one of the math teachers there that we knew, and he actually happened to be visiting another math teacher. So we asked them both at the same time, and again, they both got 5. And none of us could figure out any way to manipulate these nonsense numbers into being 7. And we couldn't do it. So we said, okay, fine. We can't tell these math teachers how to figure out, what to do with this. So we talked to upper level math teachers, calculus teachers.
Yeah.
I talked to one of the calculus teachers who was a dear friend of mine, and I said, hey, I'm trying to figure out this problem, and it seems really simple. We've had about 7 people work on it, and we can't get any other answer than 5. And so he's sitting there looking at it. He's trying to do it, and he's thinking real hard, and he says, the only thing I can think of is 5. And so we keep on doing this. We cannot figure any way to finally make this stupid thing equal 7. And so we keep on asking teachers. Finally, we asked one of the teachers, who was another calculus teacher, to see how she could do it. And she sat there for about 10 minutes. And finally, she was able to explain to us how it was possible to equal 7. And it was this enormous, ridiculous explanation that I got completely lost in about 2 sentences. And I was like, oh, I guess it really is 7. And I don't know how she figured it out, but she figured it out. And the next day, she said, I was looking back at the math I did, and I did some math wrong, and my answer was 5. And so none of us could really figure out. And to this day, the question remains unanswered, and every single person I've ever talked to has gotten it to be 5.
Maybe the person that wrote the book did it like this person did it.
It's almost like Common Core isn't that good of a system or something.
That's true, man.
It's
You're
true.
very right.
It's true.
Everybody complains about it.
What a nightmare that was.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister's come to me with all these problems, and pretty much every problem she's come to me with is something kind of like unnecessary, like finding the wrong answer, or how there's some problems where you have to like round to like an approximate answer, like what's 96 closer to 90 or 100, but on like a bigger level, I guess. And she's like, why do I even need to use this? I know how to find the exact right answer. Why should I have to like say what it's closer to? That's just adding an unnecessary step.
The one type of problem that I've always hated was like, train A is leaving this station at 50 miles an hour. Train B is leaving this other station at 75 miles an hour.
Hard, man. What
time will they meet? You know what? No one actually cares because you don't actually want those trains to meet.
That's true. It's very true.
Have you seen the video with Lil Pump, and the guy's like, you're going 70 miles per hour. How long does it take you to go 70 miles? And he's like, 70?
One of my favorite videos like that was just like this guy, like I think he's asking like his girlfriend or something, sitting next to him in the car, and he said, I'm going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah. How
many miles will I go in an hour? And she's like, okay, well, I run a mile in 8 minutes. And she starts going like all these weird calculations, and you can hear this guy behind the camera just falling apart of what his girlfriend is saying. I love that video so much.
Look, I'm laughing right now, but I know, I can kind of think like that sometimes and make a complete fool out of myself. So I really shouldn't be laughing, but
in the moment, I usually laugh really hard at those, but like later on, I'll think about them like late at night and be like, man, there's people like that in the world that are real.
Yeah,
that are real.
that are real people in this world who can't think.
Damn.
And it scares me. Like what if they're my boss one day?
Oof.
Or something,
Most likely they will be.
No. I can't. I usually can't get stuff like that out of my mind. I think too much about stupid things.
Yeah.
It's not good for me.
Yeah.
Simon.
Yes.
So you're a sound guy.
I am a sound guy. I've been
How's
a sound
that,
guy. I've been a sound guy for about 5 years now, a little bit more than 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Long time.
It is a long time.
How old are you right now?
I'm 18.
18.
I've
So
been doing it. I've been doing it for a while. I've worked with some organizations. I've worked on local TV stations. And right now, I'm working with the university. So it's
wow,
Nice, man.
I've been around, you know,
around the block. Yeah.
Yeah.
working with a lot of sound systems and stuff. I've had to design different audiovisual systems sometimes for like churches and stuff like that. I was actually the main sound guy for the Free Will Baptist Association of Churches in California, the Spanish-speaking division. I was their sound guy, the main one, where whenever they would have an association meeting, I would always do the sound, and I'd usually have to fix their systems for them because they would never know how to use it.
Dang.
And
That's cool, man.
it was pretty
Someone's
nice.
gotta do
Actually.
it. That's awesome.
Is this
Yeah.
what you want to be like your career? Just
Yeah,
sound
this is
stuff?
what I've wanted to do. I decided to study music, not
Nice.
because I'm really interested in music, but
Oh.
because, yeah, I know it's kind of cheap, but whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, do you want to make any music at all, or like maybe just like sounds?
I mean, I figure maybe if I'm studying long enough, maybe I'll get interested in it. But I mean, that wasn't the thing. The reason why I wanted to study music is because when you're a music major, you learn about professional sound recording and like the physics of sound and stuff like that, which is good to know for when you're working with sound equipment.
Yeah.
And
makes sense.
it's just something that I've always liked. I've liked working with sound and audiovisual equipment. I like learning about connections and different ways to make things work. One of my favorite things to do is just like if there's a problem where we don't know how to solve it, I like to figure out a way where we can make it work on a budget. My favorite part of it is working with a budget because like it's a creative solution as opposed to just throwing money at it. I hate it. I hate the idea of just throwing money at something and it'll work. Well, yeah, it will, but that doesn't mean it's a good system. It just means it's so expensive it has to work. You know, I had to at one of the churches, they wanted not only for me to do sound, but they wanted me to do the visuals in terms of like they had a projector with like the computer and stuff, and they wanted me to film the service. And I only have so many hands, so I needed to figure out a way to do that. And I already was able to do the sound mixing fine because it's not a lot of changing it when someone's just talking, because it's going to be the same person giving a sermon for about an hour.
Yeah.
So you don't need to move it too much. So that one I could almost just kind of keep on the back burner, and I didn't really need a hand for that. The problem is that with the computer, you're going to need to be moving a lot of stuff. They want to check a verse. They want you to put a picture up. They're doing a presentation. They're doing a slide. They want you to clip. They're going to play a video, whatever. And you need hands for that. And the problem is that they also want me to film. And we can't have anyone else film because if anyone else is filming, we don't know if they know how to use the equipment. We don't know how careful they are. And I'm the sound guy. I know what technology is, and they want me to do it. And so they say, okay, we're going to give you a certain amount of money that you'll promise us you won't go over, and we'll have you figure out a way to make a system where you can film and you can do all this stuff. And so what I was actually able to do was I would say, for under $500, I was able to make a little system where I had there was a sound room that I was in and had a little window that I could look out of. And so what I did was above it, I put a little I guess like a support. It kind of looks like a triangle, like a brace. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And on it, I put a little tripod mount, and then I put a camera on that. And this tripod mount was attached to this. They're called pan tilt heads, and they use a remote control. And what they do is they allow you to move the camera, pull it up and down and stuff. And then I made sure I got a camera that you could use with a remote. And I attached a cable to this camera, that way I could have a little monitor in my room. I got a really cheap, like, those backup camera monitors you got for cars? They actually sell those really, really cheap. I found one for like $15.
Ooh.
He was talking about. Weren't you talking about getting one? Like one of those. Never mind. Never mind.
Anyway, they had one for like 15. They have a bunch of them for really cheap, like $15 or something, like inexpensive and negligible. And so I was able to set that up in my sound room. And so now at this point, I was able to have basically one hand on the computer, and the other way I was able to look at the camera, see where it's focusing on, and I was able to just kind of zoom out the shot enough that I don't have to move it too much, so I can film the whole service and have the visual presentation going and have the mixer going. And it only costs about like $450.
Nice,
and it was really, that's like one of my favorite things to do, is to design new things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's
problem solving.
It's my job.
Yeah. Damn, dude, that was a smart move.
So if you guys ever need audiovisual stuff, I got you.
You're the guy. You're the man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's awesome, dude.
Yes.
So, you seen any good movies lately?
I watched Get Out for the first time.
Get Out.
Yeah, have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
No. Well,
Care to share with the rest of the class?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's been out for a while now, like 2 years maybe.
2 years?
Oh,
Really?
wow.
I
Has
thought
it?
it just came out. Like, dead ass.
Well, Jordan Peele just released Us,
Okay, the commercial.
which you thought looked stupid.
Okay, the
Let's talk about that
commercial-
because
okay,
that's more
it
that's
does.
more of a
Alright,
newer
the
movie.
commercial for
Oh,
Us,
wow.
I just burst out laughing when I saw the commercial because it sounded like something a 5-year-old would write in terms of like a horror
It kind
story.
of
Because
does.
it's like, who's this mysterious person? It's me. Like, it's just stupid sounding. I couldn't get behind it. Like, I thought of like, this entity, who's like following you around and stuff in a house. That's always scary. But when you find out it's just like you,
Well,
I couldn't. It just looked dumb.
to be fair, they know like as soon as these people like come, there's like maybe a 5-minute scene where they're standing there, they don't know who they are, and they're like front like driveway or something, and then right after that they find out they look like them, and the most of the movie they know like it's them. It's not like a twist ending or something.
If it was a twist ending, I would have been upset.
So then what's the twist, man?
The
Spoiler alert.
should I spoil it for you? Are you gonna go see it?
No.
Okay. Well, what
It's been 2 years.
did I explain this to you already?
You explained to me like the plot, but you didn't say like the whole thing. You just said
Okay.
like, oh, it's them in the house.
So basically, at the beginning of the movie when they first show up, you think it's just the family,
Yeah.
right? There's a parallel version of all the characters. You don't know why, they're just there and they're acting all weird. They're like evil versions of them.
Okay.
Wait,
And then-
they're just there? Like,
Yeah, it doesn't really explain. They just are like, oh, it just explains they have some kind of connection to them. They call themselves like the tethered, so they're
wait, I think that's kind of weird within itself.
yeah. Well, no, it explains later,
Casually
but
see myself down the street.
but yeah, they're there. They're all wearing the same outfit. They're just and they have like a weird mental connection that whatever the people like us do, they have to do like a version of it in their underground whatever. It doesn't explain at that point in the movie, but just bear with me. So over the course of the movie, you see that it's not just the family as well. Their friends have parallel versions of them the parallel versions of them killed the other family, and then like everyone has a double.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not just like this one family, and they're like, what's going on here? I didn't really get this over the course of the movie. Maybe I'm stupid because my sister said she saw it and she knew what it was, but I don't remember them saying this in the movie. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention closely enough, or I couldn't understand the voice of the main.
Well, for
Female
whatever
villain.
reason, you didn't catch it.
Look, I just want to say the female villain, Lupita Nyong'o, I hope that's how you say her name. She's a great actress, but she's like the lead in it. She plays the main character and then the evil version of the main character.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the evil version of that character talks exactly like this throughout the whole movie. And it's people like started laughing in the theater because it was so like weird and off-putting.
It's because that's like a stupid.
That does
It
sound
was
stupid,
weird.
Not gonna lie, man.
Yeah, that was stupid. Honestly,
That's just.
she should have just talked like this, or kind of like, because it explains why she doesn't talk a whole lot, but it's besides the point.
Get to the point.
Yeah,
what she said.
the ending of the
dodging this
movie.
point
Yeah,
the whole time.
no, it has to set it up. Trying to do what Jordan Peele did. Listen, okay. What happens at the end of the movie is it explains that all these doubles are part of this abandoned government project in which they created clones
the government.
of everybody in the United States, which for some reason the clones would reproduce and make clones of the children as well.
Why?
I don't know. That's not how biology works as well. But I'll just ignore that plot hole.
Doesn't make
You know,
any
yeah,
sense.
this
Look, it doesn't
plot
make-
all sounds
Look,
like
it doesn't.
really
It doesn't
bad.
make any sense. It doesn't. That, and
This
that's
is
why I
like we're
walked
running
out.
out of ideas.
Who was the
That's
writer again? What was
Jordan
it?
Peele.
Sounds like Jordan Peele was high when he wrote this.
He was.
Honestly, like,
He was
this-
probably high.
How did this make it the thing? I bet probably the cinematography is pretty good, but like
No,
the story
cinematography
sounds
is
like
great.
ass,
But
in my
listen.
opinion.
Well, and it doesn't explain that
I mean,
too.
it didn't,
I
like-
walked out of the theater and I had to look it up. Me and my friend Mazin, we were like, "What was
Yeah.
that? Like what? Like it never explains it. Like it shows they have this like underground facility where they're all at, but
Yeah.
and so basically they're all clones of the people above ground because I assume the government created them as some kind of way to control the population because they all have some kind of psychic link. I don't know, or even replace them, like kill the original and replace them with a double that thinks more like in a government minded way.
Yeah.
So basically can control everyone. But they're basically all the clones are like they can't talk, they're all kind of stupid, and they only like do like they mimic the people above. Because the way the movie explains it is while there's two bodies, there's still only one soul. And
Ooh.
yeah. And so the
Isn't that
clones
kinda like-
are basically there's a scene that's really cool that shows all the people above ground doing whatever they're doing at like a carnival thing or at the pier, the I think it's like the Santa Cruz Pier or something. And then the people underground, they're exactly the same, but they're like mimicking it in their own. There's a bunch of rabbits under there, so the people eating food above ground are like eating raw rabbit underground. People, riding rides, they're all going like this, like with nothing underground. It's weird.
Okay, that just sounds really funny.
Yeah, it's weird. It doesn't really make sense, but yeah, they're all. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Now that I walked out of it thinking I don't like this movie, then I thought about it and I was like, oh, you know what? The foreshadowing was good, and all this other stuff. I do kind of like this movie. Now that I'm explaining it, I'm like, I don't know. Get Out was better. Yeah. Yeah, Get Out was actually really good.
I feel like I felt the same way about when I was telling you about that movie. I think it was called Don't Breathe. It was a horror movie, and I originally was really excited to see it, and then I actually saw it. I'm like, this is worse than I thought it was going to be. And it was just like a basic horror movie. Have you seen it?
No,
I haven't seen it, but I know the premise.
Well, no, I
you
told
explained it to me pretty well.
Should we just keep on going through movies?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
For the audience.
So anyway, I wanted to see this movie because I thought the principle was interesting. Basically, 3 thieves go into this old man's house, and this old man is blind, but he's also a Vietnam vet, and so he's strong or whatever. And so the idea is that these 3 people invade. They invaded the wrong house. This guy is gonna kill them. And so the idea is that they can't make any noise, or he'll find them and beat them to death or something, because he's far too strong for these young 20-year-olds.
I would assume his sense of hearing is a lot stronger as well, since he's blind.
And so anyway, I wanted it to be a situation where you're kind of rooting for, in the sense of it being a monster movie, you're rooting for the monster, and I go, that's kind of interesting. That's a different take on this style of movie, because the monster is the one that usually basically wins because everyone dies.
Yeah.
And so now you can not care about how this person dies or the stupid mistakes they make, because you expect them to make a stupid mistake. You're rooting for the big, strong guy killing everyone. I go, that's interesting. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but they didn't want you to do that. They wanted you to root for the 3 thieves. And I'm just sitting there I don't understand
they broke into his
why,
house.
Why, okay, you broke into this man's house, and the only one you're really supposed to sympathize with is there's 2 guys and a lady. And you're only really supposed to sympathize with the lady, and the only reason why you're supposed to sympathize with the lady is because she has a daughter. That's it. There's not a lot of other motivation other than she wants to leave, because they live in Detroit, and they want to leave Detroit for obvious reasons. And so, so all 3 of them want to leave Detroit, and there's in this group, they really tried really hard to make these 3 people unique. You have the big, strong, dumb guy who's the muscle, and you have the nerdy, wimpy, smart guy who figures everything out, and then you have a lady who has a daughter. And that's about it. Like she's not.
Each character's
She's
kind
not
of like a
like particularly.
cliche.
She's not particularly more agile. She's just kind of like smaller.
Yeah.
So she doesn't bring a lot to the table other than like
Just
in
kind
the
of there.
beginning she's able to go through a window, which honestly the two guys could have easily fit through. Just like one of them was too much of a wimp, and the other guy was like, "I'm not going to do that" because he's the big strong guy who's dumb, and so they go ahead and they invade this man's property and try to steal. And here's the sad part is that they give like a sob story for this man. He's a Vietnam veteran with no family. He lives by himself and he's blind. And so it's like, how are you not supposed to sympathize with this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, initially you think like these
He basically
were awful people. They're robbing from this guy.
He basically has no family. He had one daughter left, and she got run over by a truck. And he got a $300,000 settlement from this lawsuit that he had against whoever was driving the truck. And so they're going to steal that money.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that sounds.
And they want you to
awful.
sympathize with the thieves. And the line that they say is just because he's blind doesn't mean he's a saint. And while that might be true, you sure are setting him up to be one. Like, why'd you make this
Are these
enormous...
those kind of kids that are like, oh, Vietnam was
they're
bad.
not-
We don't like him because he's Vietnam
No,
bad.
no. They're not like
Wait,
kids.
so-
They're like 25.
Yeah, that's what I mean by kids because they're young. You know what I mean?
They're younger, but they're not
You know
children.
what I mean. I'm not
They're
saying
not a
they're
bunch of,
children,
like-
bro. I'm
They're not a
saying
bunch
that
of
they're-
young
They're not
vagrants from
hippies.
the high
You know what I
school.
mean by kids, though. Okay,
Okay,
As in
fine.
young guys. Okay?
Those darned young people, Martin.
yes, those youngins.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And so, like, then they had this random plot inserted into the movie, and it was just kind of gross. And it's supposed to make this main guy seem like the bad guy because of this one thing they didn't introduce until like 3/4 into the movie. And so, like, most of it, there's no reason for you not to root for this blind man.
There's no kind of foreshadowing for this thing.
Nothing at all.
Wait.
The only foreshadowing
Wait.
is that one line of just because he's blind doesn't mean he's a saint.
Wait, what's the gross thing? What are you talking about?
The gross thing is that the person who ran over his daughter who was driving the truck was a lady, okay? And she's about the same age as the daughter.
Wait, daughter of the...
The daughter of the blind man.
Oh,
Or
okay.
either daughter or granddaughter. I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever. About the same age.
Yeah.
Something like, let's say, 26.
Yeah.
All right? And so what he does, and we don't find this out until way later, is that
Wait, he as the veteran, you mean?
The veteran,
Okay, yeah, okay.
He went ahead, found this woman, captured her somehow, has a basement, tied her up in the basement,
Oof.
and then artificially inseminated her
Ew.
with his semen, so that way she could give him another daughter. And that... I don't know either, Martin. I don't know why they wanted to do that.
I don't know if it's more cruel
Yeah, I
than
think-
weird or weirder than cruel.
It's
And
awful.
basically, he said his rationale is I didn't rape her because I just artificially inseminated her, and I'm only gonna keep her here for 9 months. I'm feeding her, and
What are you gonna do when you release her? She's gonna be like, "Oh my god, this guy, did terrible things to me."
you're acting as though the people who wrote this plot thought this
I don't
through.
know. He could have
AJ.
just like adopted a kid or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They-
Well, yeah. I mean,
I don't know, man. I don't.
I think,
you know what I mean?
like you said, I think they should
something
have
less
kept it
weird.
like.
what I wanted was for this guy to just have nothing, just be a decent person who's just defending his home against these three thieves and have him win in the end.
Yes.
And you know what? If I had just seen that, that would have been all I've ever wanted.
Yeah,
Like
a
that would
good
have just been a
story.
fine movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
a
would've-
little
I would've
interesting
been-
take on it.
Yeah,
but
but
no,
they
have-
added this stupid subplot where she dies anyway.
The
Okay,
pregnant chick? Or
The girl that he tied up,
Yeah.
she dies because he accidentally shoots her in the head.
Oh my god.
And so then he goes
Vietnam
ahead.
vet, guys.
So the big
And she was pregnant too.
Mhm.
Oh
We just
my
killed
god!
two people.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, yeah, he artificially inseminated her. Remember, she's pregnant, and so he kills her. And
This is why you should practice good gun safety, guys. No, gun.
well,
This
you
is
should
funny.
be questioning why a blind man's using a gun, which is
Have
a
you
thing
seen
that
Daredevil, man?
Daredevil doesn't
It's
use
not
guns.
real.
But he can hear them.
I guess neither is this movie. But
So anyway, the big dumb guy, the big strong guy, dies first because he was stupid. What they should have done, like in the beginning of the movie, was just like the old man's like he hears something on the bottom floor. He sleeps in like a second floor, so he goes to the bottom floor because he thinks he heard something. What they could have done was just walked out the way they came in and just gone to another house. Because it seemed like the old man was just gonna leave because he didn't really hear anything.
That's not good for plot.
I know, Simon.
No.
So the big dumb guy has this brilliant idea of, I'll make an excuse to this blind man whose home I've invaded.
Like I saw that in the trailer. Doesn't he like pretend to be like drunk or something?
He's like, no, dude, I was just drunk. I'm just gonna leave, and then like, honestly, that's a pretty believable story to some degree, and he probably could have just left. He could have just said, I'm leaving, and then left, as opposed to sitting there trying to explain himself, or he could have just ran out the front door.
Yeah.
Or something.
That seems pretty basic, yeah.
And so what he ends up doing is he ends up pulling a gun on this blind man and trying to, kill him. He's like threatening him, like, don't make me do it, don't make me do it. So this old blind man's like, no, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. He's putting his hands in front of his face and like walking closer to him. And so you know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's walking closer, and so he immediately grabs the gun, pulls out his hand, and just beats this man into a pulp.
Damn.
And then shoots him in the head. Ooh. And so these other two...
Okay, so if you're saying a blind man can't use a gun, how do you know where the head was?
Because he was holding him. He had him in a chokehold.
Oh, shit.
So, like, he knows his head is right here.
So you're saying he held him and, like, shot him right there?
He shot him like that.
That's so
messy,
messy,
He's a Vietnam man. He saw combat.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't want that much blood on me, especially in the middle of the night.
You can't see it.
That's true.
Yeah. It's just warm,
Yeah.
And so anyway, what these people should have done, because, he doesn't know that there's other people in there. What they should have done is just left. Because he figures that the guy who invaded his home...
Yeah.
The guy who invaded his home is now dead. His work here is done. He's going to go back to bed.
Well, I mean, maybe
so these other two people would have just been like, okay, let's wait for him to go upstairs. We'll leave out the front door.
Yeah.
But no, they decide to still try and steal the money.
And
they're like...
Desperate times. Desperate
There's
measures.
literally like 100 other houses in the area that are all in like this garbage street in the middle of Detroit. Like they could have picked any of these...
But this house has $300K, bro.
It was a stupid movie. Okay?
Oh yeah.
I really got mad at it for doing that stupid whole plot with this weird like rape dungeon this old fart had in his basement.
Were you just like yelling in the theater center? Were you like so angry?
Come on!
Throw your soda at the screen, bro.
I didn't watch it in theaters because I'm not a masochist. Or sadist, whatever they're called. I always forget. It's like stalactites and stalagmites. I never remember. And it doesn't really matter. Like those things in caves, those big like pointy rocks, there's always like stalactites and stalagmites. One of them's up, one of them's down, and I never remember which one it is. It doesn't matter though.
Yeah,
much like sadists and masochists, I don't really care. You guys know what I'm talking
about. Yeah. I know what those are, yeah.
So anyway, that was a dumb movie and I didn't like it.
Yeah, it seems like they should have just not had that plot point in there.
Honestly, if they didn't have it in there and just all the people who invaded the house died, I would have been like, that's a fine movie right there.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that,
What would you say was like the worst movie you ever saw?
That's a tough question.
Birth of a Nation.
Why'd you see that?
It was so boring. No, because I needed to cite evidence for a history essay last semester. So I was trying to like look for the good parts, like not good parts, but you know what I mean, like parts that are good for evidence. But it was all really boring. I didn't really get the plot. Like I kind of got the plot. There's like two families or something, and they're like one of them's Confederate.
Is that the KKK one?
Yeah.
They did make a new one though.
What?
Really?
Not the KKK, but it is called Birth of a Nation.
Oh, is it like different plot, or is it?
It's a completely different plot.
That'd be hard.
I think it's about like slaves revolting or something.
Oh, I guess that makes
sense.
No, they're trying to take it back, is what they're doing. Yeah, they've done that. That's what it was for, but I don't think anyone actually saw it.
I don't feel like it'd be pretty hard to market.
No one wants to be like, yeah, I just saw Birth of a Nation.
Oh yeah. No.
And people are gonna be like.
That's not. Oh, that one.
Yeah. But I mean, people have actually done it in the past. Taking phrases and words like back, like the term greaser.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it to mean like some like 50s dude with a leather jacket. He greases his hair back.
Yeah.
Well, greaser actually used to be a really bad slur for Mexicans.
Oof. Oh.
Yeah. So they've taken it back over the years, and it kind of doesn't mean anything to do with that. It just means some buff guy in a leather jacket who greases his hair back.
That's
which
cool.
is kind of cool that people can just take words back.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I think that they tried to do that. I don't think it was effective, but I
mean,
appreciate the effort.
I had no idea.
I didn't.
Mexican slur. I always thought it was just those guys.
No, I mean everyone does. That's the beauty of it.
That's good. Kind of just recycling words, you know.
Cracker is our word.
I would say like the worst movie I ever saw. I don't think that overall it was bad. Like the first half hour though, I hated. Like I've never been that mad watching a movie.
What movie?
And it didn't seem that bad either. It was The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, the one with Steve Carell.
Dude, oh wait.
Wait.
Did I see that movie? I think I saw. I mean, it was all right.
I thought that the second half of it, if it was literally just the second half, the movie would have been fine.
What's the
really like
plot
the
of that
Iceland.
movie?
The plot is that this guy, Steve Carell, he's a negatives developer at Life magazine.
Really? I thought it was
Yeah.
National Geographic.
Life.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Look it up.
Oh,
It's
no,
Life.
yeah, I believe it. I just kind of forgot that.
Life magazine, he's the negatives developer, and Life was going digital, and so his job is kind of defunct now.
Shit.
So the very last one he's going to be doing, they're going to fire him, and so he's like, okay, well, we need this very last cover photo, so go develop it. And he can't find it. He can't find this last photo. The photographer, sent him the roll of film. He says, okay, I want you to use slide 25.
Oh, I remember. It was that tiger, right? That was really rare.
A snow leopard.
Yeah. A tiger.
Well, if you watch the rest of the movie, you know it wasn't actually a snow leopard.
It wasn't.
Did you watch this movie?
Yeah, like a billion years ago, bro. Okay.
Okay.
I didn't. So
Spoilers. The picture was of Steve Carell.
Shit.
It was of him looking at a photo.
Oh.
And that was the very last one that he developed for the Life magazine cover.
That's
It was sweet.
I like the scenes in Iceland, man. Those are so cool.
No, I liked the
It's
second
really
half
pretty.
of the movie.
Yeah.
I really hated the first half because,
When he was daydreaming a lot?
yes, I hated so
I thought it
much.
was so
I
whack.
hated it so much because, the plot was actually really, really interesting to me. I wanted to watch more. And then he keeps on interrupting himself with this stupid daydream
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
having. I hated it. And they weren't even, funny.
Yeah.
The only one that was fine was the very, very first one because it lasted, 10 seconds because he's imagining himself telling, this really insulting joke to this guy. And the joke was pretty good. And that was the only one that, in my opinion, was acceptable because it was just short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. The other ones were these drawn out, 3-minute sequences of him daydreaming, and I'm just just get to the point, please. I'm begging you. I just want to watch this movie, and I got really upset that they kept on doing this. And in the later half of the movie, they only interrupted it once with another daydream. And after that, it was fine though.
I feel like if you watch these movies you hate in theaters, man, I feel like you might start
It wasn't
yelling.
in theaters again.
No, I'm saying if you did, you might be like.
I would have walked out.
Someone next to you,
I would have gotten. I would have absolutely gotten my money back. I would have not paid to see that. That was ridiculous.
Oh, dude! You know what I hated almost just as much as Birth of the Nation? Cloverfield.
the original?
Yeah, because he was a guy holding a camcorder the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
That made me so fucking dizzy, dude. I just hated that so much. I thought the plot was so stupid too.
I never saw it. So,
it was whatever. The sequel to 10 Cloverfield Lane
I
was
haven't seen
that was decent because that actually had a fairly good plot and a pretty good twist ending.
Yeah.
And then they made a sequel on Netflix called the Cloverfield Paradox, which really had nothing to do with the other two.
Maybe it wasn't related, was it?
Well, they're all supposed to be interconnected because the first one has the monster and that's it, right? The second one, basically, it's this girl gets in a car accident and then she's kidnapped and she's kept in this basement with this other guy, and the guy that plays Sully in Monsters Inc., John Goodman, right? He's the kidnapper, and he's the end of the world's going on outside. You can't leave. There's poison in the air, and it's either the Russians or aliens or something.
Russians.
You can't go outside. And they're okay at first. They're kind of iffy, but they're okay. And over the course of the movie, they're you know what, we need to get the hell out of here because this guy, yeah. Over the course of the movie, you see he's kind of delusional and just through various cues. And then at the end of the movie, she still decides to make a suit and get out of there because she saw a lady with a bunch of burns on her face outside trying to get in, and she was obviously crazy and was not well, so she still made a suit to go outside.
Yeah.
And somewhere along her escape, when she's outside, somehow she breaks her suit.
Ooh.
And she can breathe. So she's like, "Oh, this is BS," you know.
Yeah.
Like
Who's the boyfriend.
huh?
The boyfriend of the guy.
Spoiler alert: he dies. But yeah, sorry everyone. But yeah, the guy kills him, and it's really sad.
Ew.
But it's a really good plot point. That's one of the most shocking parts of the movie, and a good like twist, kind of. So she escapes, and her suit breaks, and she's like, "Oh, I can breathe." So this whole thing was like a hoax. He just kidnapped us.
Fake news.
And then no, and
everybody.
then she sees in the distance there's like some kind of weird like spaceship thing, and she's like, "What the heck?" And then like I think it spots. I just haven't seen the movie in a while. It spots her, and it comes over,
Oh.
and
Wait, how big is it? Like
it's like a I don't know. It's like
The size of a van.
it's like the size of like a helicopter maybe.
like a boat in the middle of the freeway, like that kind of size.
Anyway, yeah, it's just like a small aircraft,
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And it starts spraying stuff.
Ooh, no.
Yeah, and that's the poison that's been killing people, and that's what he thought it was. He thought it was like the Russians, but no, it's just like an alien. And I think it has some kind of like organic like mouth thing. I think that's how it like. You ever seen War of the Worlds?
No.
Okay, never mind. Then I can't compare it. But anyway,
I believe you.
yeah, it has like this organic part to the spaceship, and she throws like some kind of explosive in it, and it explodes, and you know
What a
she's
champ.
a badass, and you know she saves the day.
Thought she dies though, because
No.
of the spray.
No, it doesn't get close enough to her.
Okay.
It's spraying like a crop duster kind of. I think that's what it is at least.
Okay.
Again, haven't seen the movie in a while, but it doesn't get to her. But she knows that's what the poison gas is.
Okay, that makes sense.
So she throws the thing, it blows it up, the thing crashes, I think, and the connection to that movie is, you know, maybe the monsters, the big Cloverfield monster was like the first step, and then in this one, 10 Cloverfield Lane is the name of the movie. Maybe the second step is the actual invasion force of the aliens coming in. You know, first hit them with the monster in the major cities, and then in the smaller like suburb and like farmland, because this all takes place in like a farm. Use like smaller spaceships, and you know, take out the rest of the population. And then the third one, which is on Netflix, which was just so weird. I guess its connection to this trilogy is that because what happens is they're in space and they're testing some kind of like particle accelerator or something on their satellite.
Some super secret science.
Yeah.
thing.
Not a good idea, man.
And they do it, and the Earth disappears, and they're in the middle of nowhere.
NASA.
And like things start just being like trippy. There's weird like there's a lady like stuck in the wall, like there's
What do you mean stuck in the wall? Like she's like clipping through this wall?
yeah,
or-
pretty much.
Oh,
It's yeah, she
in like the space thing.
yeah.
Oh.
She, in the space, they hear like screaming in a wall, and they open up the door, and she's like I don't know how I ended up in here, and
Did they pull her out or?
yeah,
I'm sure it wasn't funny, but just like you explaining it.
I know,
yeah,
it's
no,
kinda scary, dude.
I
If I
can't
clicked through a
I
wall,
can't really
man, I'd
remember the
be
movie.
fucking, like-
There's just weird things. There's like a hand that's still alive after it gets cut off.
How did it get cut off?
I can't remember.
It was some kind of
honestly.
sharp object, Martin.
Yeah, it was a stupid movie that I kind of forgot
You're not
about.
wrong, Simon.
That was
And then-
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and then it ends up they find the Earth. They're just really far away from it, but it's a different Earth. It's some kind of alternate reality where things were different. That one of the main characters, her entire family died in like a fire.
Jeez.
And on this Earth, her family's alive, and one of the plot points is like, oh, do I go down to that Earth and try to, you know, meet my family again? But she ultimately decides like, oh no, it's not my Earth, and things are going crazy. Like they don't want me here. So yeah, basically everyone but this main character, I think maybe another character, I can't remember. Everyone else dies except those two, and they go back to their Earth, But
Earth or this new Earth?
the original Earth.
Okay.
That they first went to.
How'd they get back to that?
I can't remember. They fixed the particle accelerator somehow, and they get back to their own planet. And they're like, oh, cool. And I guess somewhere along the way,
I like that. Actually, we're back to our planet. Oh, cool.
Somewhere along the way, they messed things up, and they created some kind of weird alien invasion. Maybe in another dimension that they clipped through, they picked up the Cloverfield monster and these other aliens that were like, oh.
Now, is that implied or is it somehow stated implication? Like
the monster's at the end of the movie.
But how do you know it's the Cloverfield monsters? What is this?
Because it looks like the Cloverfield monster.
Oh, okay.
So,
like,
but it doesn't really explain how it got there.
Yeah.
Because the entire movie, it's just weird occurrences, and then the monster's just at the end of the movie. I think it's the Cloverfield monster. So it looks very reminiscent of it.
Is that to be like the prequel to the monster?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because also in the original Cloverfield movie, don't know why this is in there, but there's a scene. It doesn't even really fit in because the monster got there. Like the scene takes place way before the start of the movie, but at the end of the movie, the original Cloverfield movie, there's a scene where the boyfriend's recording his girlfriend before they break up, right? Because that's one of the plot points is like he loved her and he went back to save her, but it's out like on a Ferris wheel or something. Maybe not. I can't remember. You can see the ocean in the background.
Okay.
And there's this thing that's falling out of the sky and it crashes in the ocean in the background. And people notice it and they're like, what the heck is that? Like, why is that even there? And J.J. Abrams was like, oh, it's a Easter egg for something else. I'm like, for what? You know?
At the end of the movie?
Yeah. Yeah. It's at the end of the movie and it's like a prequel. Like this end clip happens before the movie, so it's like
okay.
It's like why what's even going on here?
So it's like the prequel of the movie hinting at the prequel movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but what happens at the end of the movie is the craft that they escape on. It's like a little escape pod kind of thing.
Okay.
Lands in the ocean.
Oh, at the end of the prequel movie. You mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the astronauts are on it like, oh, we're alive. We're back on our own Earth. And the Cloverfield monster comes out of the water. I think. It's like, well, that kind of creates a plot hole because if that's, if that spaceship falling out of the sky is that one from the background of that movie, and that prequel part happened months before, and the Cloverfield monster comes out of the water,
Yeah.
that the monster attacks New York like months after that. So it's
maybe
it's
it
like
was just
the thing
chilling in the
comes out of the
water.
water. No, people will have seen it because you can see the thing in the background. The monster's way bigger. So it's like, it's like you're creating more questions than the ones you're answering. But I don't know. It wasn't a very good movie. No one cares. No one's gonna want a sequel.
I did see one movie that was just. I don't think it was bad. It was just kind of strange, the casting choice in particular.
What
because
movie?
I genuinely don't remember what it was called.
Do you remember who was in it?
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay.
It's very interesting. It was just a really generic zombie movie, a zombie apocalypse movie where zombies are trying to take over this world, and this good old fashioned American farmer is trying to save his daughter, and
wholesome.
Yeah, and they're trying to save his daughter, and the daughter gets bit or something, and so he's trying to take her to a hospital to save her, and I don't know. I think it could have been interesting. I got kind of bored, but I stopped watching it. But I just thought it was strange because this was supposed to be this farmer in Iowa, okay. Yeah. But the guy they got to be the farmer in Iowa makes no sense to me. They got Arnold Schwarzenegger to play the farmer.
You know what? I think my dad saw this movie.
It was
and he was complaining to me about it
because it's yeah, I am a good American farmer, and it's no, you're not. You're Austrian.
I am a good American governor.
It's why would?
Yeah. Well, hey man,
it's just so weird.
I think he's a good actor
when
he plays his role.
Look,
not that
what's more believable though, that he's an American farmer or an American governor? Let's be real. The governor was real.
We didn't believe him the first time.
Whatever. Yeah. So we should probably wrap it up.
Huh?
Huh?
We'll have to wrap it up soon.
thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll have to do another one with you.
Yeah,
Talk about
thank
movies.
you.
Because you're saying like, oh, movies is never good. We talked for a while about
No,
movies.
I like
so-
movies. One
yeah.
of my go-to questions is, have you seen any good movies lately?
That's a good one.
And,
Yeah.
It's a really cheap one to use, but I use it all the time because I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed us, explaining movies and, all the stuff before that, audio, all
Whatever.
that jazz.
We hope you liked our conversation. Our
Yes.
very casual
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, our very casual conversation that I stayed right from the beginning, making things extremely awkward. We'll catch you next time.
Episode 5. On episode 5.
Yes. Don't know who that's going to be yet, but
Okay.
stay tuned.